What if Reiner, Bertholdt, and Annie betrayed Marley? In this timeline, their one single act of betrayal doesn't just tweak a few events, it rewrites everything, leading to an ending you never saw coming. Our story breaks from the timeline at the most critical moment imaginable. In the year 845, the 4 child soldiers from Marley, Reiner, Bertholdt, Annie, and Marcel have just reached the edge of Wall Maria, but their mission is already a complete disaster. In the main story, a pure titan Ymir ambushes them and devours Marcel, inheriting the Jaw Titan. That trauma forces the other 3 to push forward, their fear hardening into a twisted resolve. But in our timeline, Marcel's death breaks them in a completely different way. As they stare at the spot where their friend just died, the insane weight of their mission finally comes crashing down. They are just kids sent by a nation that despises them to fight a people they've never met, all for the honor of a country that sees them and their families as disposable tools. The fear isn't just about the titans roaming the island, it's the fear of their handlers back home, of the families they left behind as hostages, and of how utterly pointless it all is. Reiner, who originally pushes them onward, simply collapses. All that bravado shatters, revealing just a terrified kid underneath. Bertholdt, ever passive, is completely paralyzed by the horror. But it's Annie, the pragmatist, who says the unthinkable. What are we even doing? Marley sent us here to die, for what? That single question hangs in the air, and it changes everything. They realize Marley isn't a homeland to be proud of. It's a cage. Their real enemies aren't the devils inside the walls, but the commanders who sent them on this suicide mission. In that moment, the choice is made. Their mission is no longer to secure the founding titan for Marley. Their new mission is just to survive and maybe, just maybe, find a way to atone. So instead of kicking down a wall, they walk right up to it. Cautiously, with their hands raised, they surrender to the first Survey Corps patrol they find. You can only imagine the scene. 3 terrified kids claiming to be from a world beyond the walls, talking about a hostile nation called Marley and how they can turn into the very monsters the scouts have been fighting for 100 years. Inside the walls, the reaction is exactly what you'd expect. Total disbelief and paranoia. The military police, controlled by the royal government, call for their immediate execution. But Commander Erwin Smith, ever the gambler, sees an opportunity he cannot ignore. Dropped right into his lap, he doesn't just have a key to understanding the enemy, he has the enemy's own weapons. The children are taken into the custody of the Survey Corps, and their secrets become the most valuable asset on the island. The fall of Shiganshina never happens. Carla Jaeger lives. Grisha Jaeger hears whispers of these outsiders and puts his own plan on hold, unsure how this changes his mission. And Eren, Mikasa, and Armin, they grow up as normal kids, their lives not shaped by a single burning moment of hatred, but by the slow realization that the world is so much bigger and scarier than they were ever taught. Prying the truth from the warriors is a slow, painstaking process. But Erwin, Hang, and Levi slowly piece together the reality of the outside world. They learn about Marley, the oppression of the Eldian people, and the 9 Titan powers. The kids, desperate to earn their trust and build some kind of future, tell them everything. Reiner explains Marley's military structure, Bertholdt describes the terrifying power of the colossal titan, and Annie lays out the strategic value of her female titan. The revelation is world-shattering. For a century, Paradis believed they were the last of humanity. Now they know they're a small, isolated nation surrounded by a world that wants them dead. The military's focus shifts overnight. It's no longer about killing mindless titans, it's about preparing for a war with Marley. With 3 of the 9 titans now on their side, Paradis's entire strategy is redrawn overnight. The early seasons we all watched, they simply don't happen. There is no Battle of Trost because there's no breach. The 104th Cadet Corps still comes together, but their training is completely different. Now, with some oversight from Reiner and Bertholdt, they're training to fight a modern army, not just pure titans. Eren, Mikasa, and Armin still enlist, but they're driven by a sense of discovery and a need to defend their home, not by raw revenge. The first massive change happens during what should have been the 57th expedition. In the original story, it was a disastrous mission to capture the female titan. Here, it's a straight-up flex. Annie doesn't hunt the scouts, she fights alongside them. When a horde of abnormals is about to wipe out a squad, Annie transforms with Erwin's green light. The scouts can only watch in shock as the female titan, a creature from their nightmares, takes out dozens of pure titans, saving their lives. She saves countless people who would have been lost, including the original Levi squad. This one act does more to earn the warriors' trust than any interrogation ever could. Annie even lets Hang study her titan form, which jumps their titan research ahead by decades. This new power emboldens the Survey Corps. Public support, once shaky, starts to build when Erwin reveals their new allies and the intelligence they possess. The royal government and the wall cult is all messed up now. Their entire story of a divinely protected humanity is blown to pieces. Erwin uses this chaos to stage a bloodless coup, exposing the Rice family and their puppet king far earlier than in the original timeline. With the truth of the founding titan and and the king's vow to renounce war now out in the open, Paradis is finally united under a single mission: survive Marley. Meanwhile, Grisha Jaeger sees his opening. The political game has changed. He doesn't need to act in the shadows anymore. He reveals his own identity as a Titan shifter and his past from the outside world. He passes the attack Titan to Eren, not in a desperate panic beneath a chapel, but as a calculated transfer of power, explaining to his son the mission he must now carry. By the time we reach the Return to Shiganshina arc, the situation is unrecognizable. It's not a desperate suicide mission to reclaim territory, it's the first major offensive in Paradis' war against Marley. Leading the charge is Commander Erwin Smith. This is where he died in the original timeline. Erwin army that now commands 6 of the 9 Titans. You have Eren's attack Titan, Reiner's armored Titan, Bertholdt's colossal Titan, Annie's female Titan, Ymir's jaw Titan, who reveals herself to protect her new comrades, and the founding Titan, now understood and ready to be used. When Zeke and Peak finally show up, they're expecting the same situation as the original story, but everything is completely different. Instead of fighting a desperate scout team, they're suddenly dealing with multiple Titan shifters all working together. This isn't even close to a fair fight anymore. Bertholdt uses the colossal Titan's transformation to instantly wipe out huge chunks of Zeke's pure Titans. Reiner and Annie use their hardening abilities to create mobile cover, protecting the scouts as they fly in with their new thunder spears to deal with Peak's cart Titan. This is where Zeke realizes he's completely outmatched. He comes in thinking it's just Eren again. Instead, he has to face Eren, Reiner, Annie, and Ymir all working together, while the completely uninjured Levi hunts him from above. Zeke never even gets control of the fight. He's captured, not killed, and his royal blood is now the key Paradis needs to unlock the full power of the founding Titan. When the scouts finally reach the ocean, they aren't just the exhausted survivors of a costly battle, they are conquerors, staring at the salt water, knowing they are about to take the fight to their true enemy. Back in Marley, the news from Shiganshina completely changes everything. They didn't just lose their chance to get the founder, they've now lost the armored, colossal, and female Titans to Paradis. Even worse, their strongest weapon, the Beast Titan, is now in enemy hands. At this point, Marley's entire military plan just falls apart. Seeing this weakness, other nations that Marley had been controlling, like the Mideast allied forces, declare war. Now Marley's fighting multiple enemies at once, and they're clearly not ready for it. Paradis doesn't wait. Hang basically speeds everything up using captured Marleyan tech and engineers. Within a couple of years, they have their own airships and a navy. They are no longer an isolated, primitive society. At this point, Paradis is strong enough to go on the offensive. So the Liberio attack isn't just Eren acting alone anymore, it's a full-scale military invasion. This is Paradis officially entering the war, as Willy Tybur stands before world leaders to declare war on Paradis. He doesn't know he's just set the stage for his own end. Eren transforms, but this time he's not alone. He's the first part of the attack. He devours Willy Tybur, but the attack continues. From the harbor, an explosion announces the colossal Titan as Bertholdt destroys the entire Marleyan navy in one blast. On the ground, the armored and female Titans push through Marley's army, their hardened skin blocking most artillery. Above, a fleet of Paradis airships led by Erwin Smith and Hang deploys the Survey Corps. Levi takes out the remaining enemy leaders. This fight is completely one-sided. When Lara Tybur appears as the Warhammer Titan, she's immediately overpowered by the combined force of Eren and Annie. With Ymir helping as the Jaw Titan, Eren consumes the Warhammer, and Paradis now holds 7 of the 9 Titans. The rest of the world is basically forced to take Paradis seriously. Now the devils they were all taught to hate are now a major military threat. The global alliance Marley was trying to build against Paradis now has to face a power the world has never seen before. And this is where the story finds its new ending. In this timeline, the rumbling never happens because it isn't necessary. Eren with his friends and allies doesn't have to walk that path. The anger that drove him was changed the day his mother was never eaten. The anger is still there, fueled by his father's stories and the truth of his people's suffering, but it's controlled and aimed at Marley's government. He never becomes a world destroyer. He just uses force to end the war. He uses the Founder's power, unlocked with Zeke, to dismantle Marley's military. The war is still difficult, but it's a war, not a global reset. Alliances change. Nations that were controlled by Marley might even side with Paradis for their own freedom, creating a new world order from the old one. Erwin lives to see his goal of humanity's victory achieved. Levi's squad survives. Sasha is never shot by Gabi. Many of the tragedies that define the original story are just gone. Eren Jaeger doesn't destroy the world. He uses overwhelming force to create a new kind of peace. So instead of ending in genocide, the story ends with an uneasy peace. Marley is defeated, Paradis is a world power, and the curse of Ymir, while still an issue, is no longer the main problem. The effects of the war are real, and the hatred for Eldians won't disappear quickly. But for the first time in centuries, the subjects of Ymir aren't just trying to survive, they are in control. Make sure to like and subscribe and click on this video right here.